Hey everyone, have you ever gotten a new Story of Seasons game and then totally forgot about writing an intro for your YouTube video? Yeah, me too! We're making a coat, by the way. Shift A, add a cube. Add a subdivision modifier. Disable optimal display. Select this bottom face and delete it with X. Disable the visibility of the other objects. In edit mode, select all and scale down a bit. Switch to vertex select and alt select this bottom edge. Grab it on the Z axis, drag it to the bottom of the coat on the reference. In side view, select all and scale down on the Y axis. Select the top vertices and pull them up on the Z axis. Scale down this upper part. Pull it back on the Y axis. Select these back vertices and move them forward. Ctrl R to add an edge loop, click once and drag it up a bit before clicking again to confirm placement. Move this forward on the Y axis. In front view, scale it up on the X axis. Select these front vertices and move them forward. Select the top and scale down on the Y axis a little more. Add an edge loop near the bottom. Select the front and move it forward. Add another edge loop in here, and move the front forward as well. This looks good as a base shape. Now let's make the arms. Add another cube, switch to face select, select these two faces and delete them with X. Add a subdivision modifier and disable optimal display. Position and scale to match the reference. Select this edge and move it over on the X axis. Select this edge and move it to match with this edge on the reference. In top view, move this edge back. Select this side and move it back as well. Select this bottom and move it up. Add some edge loops and shape everything to match the reference. You can always see all the transforms I make in the lower left hand corner. Once it's getting close, add a mirror modifier. Since our origin is zeroed out on the X axis, the mirror works straight away. Increase the viewport level on the subdivision modifier. You can archive these shapes if you want. Apply the subdivision modifiers on our objects. Select and delete half of the chest object. Add a mirror modifier. Using proportional editing, I'm going to adjust the geometry on the sleeves. Select this upper edge, and with a smooth fall off, move it up a little bit. We should be able to avoid needing to retopo at least the sleeves. Select this inner loop and scale it down. Overall, the shapes of the coat are pretty loose. You can make them however close to mine as you want, and they'll probably turn out good. Name these objects before you forget what they are. Hide the body object. Hide things you don't want to adjust with proportional editing, or you don't want anybody to find. Hide this edge loop. Hide this edge. And this one. Change fall off to sharp. Select these vertices and move them forward with a fairly substantial fall off. Select these two edges and hide them. Hide this loop as well. Select this face and maybe move it over. Move this edge back. Unhide and adjust to match the reference. Then, hide stuff again. Select and move this face back with substantial fall off. Tab into object mode and see how everything looks. Keep adjusting as you see fit. That looks alright for now. Let's work on the chest. Add a subdivision modifier. Select the front edge vertices and move them forward. Turn on proportional and make some adjustments. Change the smooth fall off and shape the back of the coat. In front view, shape the side of the code. Watch the subdivided geometry, not the geometry you're directly affecting. Select these vertices, and move them back. Pull them out on the x-axis to match the reference, shape everything. Hide this edge loop. Use proportional editing to shape the upper half of your coat slightly. Select and pull this vertex forward a bit. Move these vertices in. Make whatever other small changes you want to the shape. Add a significant amount of volume to the upper half of the coat. Select all and shade smooth. Shade the arm smooth as well. Keep pulling stuff around to work on the coat shape. Sometimes it can be difficult to imagine your end product while modeling, but just keep looking at the reference, and anything you feel needs some work, keep adjusting. Select this edge loop on the arms and extrude in. Scale a bit. Pull this vertex back with proportional editing on. Select this vertex, and while holding Control, click this vertex. Delete these vertices with X. Apply the modifiers on the body object. In wireframe view, select and delete this half. Add a mirror modifier again. Shift select these two objects and join together with Ctrl J. Rename this object. I named it Coat. Select a vertex on the arm, hit Ctrl L to select all, and hide with H. Let's simplify our geometry. Alt select this edge loop and slide it up a bit. Select this loop and slide it down, eventually. Select and dissolve this loop. Slide up this loop. Dissolve this loop. Slide up this loop. Slide this one as well. Dissolve this loop and this loop. Get rid of it all. Slide this loop up closer to the arm. Change my mind, slide up this loop. Dissolve this loop. Select a vertex and hit Ctrl L to select the entire arm. Hold Shift and Alt select these loops. Shift D and P to separate. Hide the other coat. We'll turn this into the final version of the coat. I want to puff the back of the coat up. Pull this edge back and over. Enable clipping and pull it in with proportional editing. Edge slide, edge slide, edge slide. Pull this edge back. Edge slide a bit. Let's adjust the shape of the front as well. Move this edge forward. Move in on the x-axis. Move these vertices back on the y-axis a bit. Move this one in. Edge slide. Oh god. Edge slide to straighten out this edge. Edge slide to straighten out this edge. Do some more edge sliding to curve this loop. Select this edge and delete it. Match this front edge to the reference and side view. In front view, line this edge up with the line on the reference, but leave a little space. And then this edge kinda relaxes up here. Let's get ready to build some new geometry. Select these edges and delete. Turn back on the visibility of our guide object. Turn on in front in the Object Properties tab. Turn on backface culling. The normals must be flipped on the arms. Select all, Ctrl N, recalculate outside. Let's see if we can connect the arms to the body in a way that makes sense. Make sure snapping is on. Start extruding out edges and making faces. We'll keep the geometry simple so the exact placement won't be too important. Just get it close. The arms are going to require some simplification in order to connect smoothly, but we'll come back to that later. Select these two vertices and hit F to make an edge. The shape guide has failed me, so disable snapping and move this vertex over here on the x-axis. Now start extruding out vertices to create new geometry. Don't forget that snapping is off like I did. Turn snapping back on and snap the vertices to the guide object. Snapping off and move this vertex a bit. This shape isn't quite solid yet, so getting normals to face the right direction took a little work. Alt select this loop and hide it. Select this part with Ctrl L and recalculate inside. Since this shape has a lot of holes, Blender can't decide which side we would want in. And I forgot to turn snapping on. But by carefully positioning your camera, you can move vertices in 3D space to approximately where you'd like. I didn't knowingly do this, so I'm not sure how it turned out so close. I guess I got lucky. I still hadn't realized snapping was off yet, but somehow it was going pretty good. I go back and snap these to the guide, so maybe just use snapping the first time. Fill in the faces. Turn on snapping and snap these back vertices. Continue extruding out and making faces. Try to leave this teardrop shaped opening. Disable snapping and try to line up these vertices a bit. Fill in the faces. Just keep filling in faces. We can fix anything that looks weird later. I took the opportunity here to compress my geometry a bit. Since I didn't spend as much time on the underlying shape guide, we have some adjusting to do. So smooth everything out. Turn off our coat guide. Disable backface culling. And get rid of some of the weird lumps from my snapping fiasco. We just want to smooth out our arm to body connection a bit. You don't have to have it exactly how I do. Everything is pretty forgiving for the most part. Shift select these edges. Dissolve these edges with X. Fill in these faces. Some slightly undesirable shading, but not too bad. Make some adjustments. Cut an edge in down here. Take this corner and move it to sit about here on the reference. Slide it over. Now let's work on the arms a bit. Alt select this loop and extrude out to the tip of the coat, scale down to match the reference. Extrude inwards and scale down. Extrude in again. Merge at center. Position and slide stuff around. Move back some of these vertices on the back of the coat. Match the contours of the sleeve to the reference. Add an edge in here with J. Edge slide over to smooth out. Use the knife tool with K to cut an edge here. As always, match the reference. Someday, I'm going to make a tutorial where I just say match the reference repeatedly instead of any directions. Select, scale, and position edge loops on individual axes. Select an edge slide. While holding Control, select these edges. Hold Shift and Control to select the second edge. Dissolve edge loops. Do the same on the back. Select these edge loops and dissolve with X. Edge slide loops around. I want to shape this middle edge without changing the surrounding edge loops. Select these bordering edge loops and hide them with H. Use proportional editing to shape this loop somewhat like this. Alt-H to unhide. In wireframe view, use the knife tool with Occlude Geometry off and cut in an edge here. In top view, circle select and edge slide these vertices. Use the new loops to put the wrinkles on the coat. I have some extra edges to figure out how to get rid of still. Add an edge here with J. Add an edge here. Select and dissolve these edges. I want to quickly check my faces. Go into the Select menu, choose Select All by Trait, and Faces by Side. Change this menu to whatever you want. If you choose greater than 4, you can see if you have any n-gons. Greater than 3 will show you quads versus tris. It's pretty handy if you want to quickly check everything out. Everything is looking pretty good. We still have a few wrinkles to add to the sleeve. Cut in edge loops with the knife tool and shift stuff around until you like the look of your sleeve. This part can take some time, especially if you're as particular about your geometry as I am. I'm practically a geometry connoisseur. Select and scale down the elbow on the Z axis. Take your time to look at how the overall shape is looking and make any adjustments. You can make your fabric folds stand out a little more by moving the vertices closer together. And that looks pretty good. Alt-select this bottom edge loop and extrude down. Set the cursor to world origin with Shift S. Change the pivot point to 3D cursor. Scale down. Hit Ctrl I to invert selection and H to hide. Make some minor adjustments to line up this edge with the bottom edge of the code on the reference. Switch to the second reference collection for the backside. It's kinda hard to tell, but I put it somewhere in here. Alt-H to unhide. Reselect this bottom edge loop and extrude up. Scale by 0 on the Z axis. Change pivot point to active element, and make sure the final selected vertex, which is shown in white, is this back one. Now, scale down. Change pivot point to median point and move in on the x-axis. Now move forward on the y-axis. Invert selection and hide. Edge slide these vertices to more evenly space them. And kind of line them up in the code object. Tap into object mode if you want to see where everything is. Alt-select these two edge loops, invert and hide, Ctrl R to add a few edge loops. Edge slide these to better match the front. This coat has a lot of layers. At the best of times, it can be tricky to work with and create multiple layered shapes. Sometimes separating the overlapping layers into multiple objects can be useful for quickly hiding parts. So that's what we'll do. Select this inner part, duplicate with Shift D, and separate by selection with P. Still in the first code object, select and delete the inner part. Leave the outer loop for now. In solid view, you can better see what we're working with. Fill in these faces. Since we have duplicate vertices for the time being, if you want to edit anything on this edge, shift select both objects and tab into edit mode. Circle select the overlapping vertices and move them both at the same time. I think we can get rid of this edge, so select vertices in this order and merge at last with M. Okay, in object mode, select this inner coat object and tab into edit mode. Turn off the visibility of the outer coat object. Select these upper front 4 vertices, extrude up and match the inner line to the reference. Move this vertex forward by edge sliding. Extrude up again. Switch pivot point to active element and select this back vertex. Turn on the other upper body objects and disable in front on any that have it on. Scale down so this edge ends up between these two objects. Change the pivot point to 3D cursor. Scale down this back vertex and hopefully it lines up pretty well. Select these three and scale down some more. Scale down this vertex to smooth out the whole thing. Edge slide it to more evenly space things. Move this vertex to line up with the back vertex on the dress. Line this vertex up with the black line on the reference. In object mode, shift select the outer coat object and go back into edit mode. Add an edge loop. We have to jump back and forth between objects to get everything lined up. Select only the outer coat object for now. Go back to median pivot point and turn snapping to vertex. Extrude out a vertex onto the inner object and fill in the face. Go back into the inner object and turn off the outer one. Select the dress object and turn on wireframe. Go back into the inner coat and extrude vertices onto the dress object. Fill in faces. Edge slide to even out spacing. Turn on snapping and snap to these vertices. Switch snapping to face and put in a few more vertices. Or connect these two with F and subdivide. However you do it, line it up and fill in the faces. Select all and recalculate outside. Also shade smooth. I'm going to organize my outliner a bit and archive the old code object. These lines in my mesh are double edges, so select all and merge by distance. This looks pretty good, but we need to curve it a little bit. And change the geometry slightly to make these vertices more evenly spaced on the outer edge. Snap this vertex to the inner one. There we go. Let's make the frilly thing and connect the code up into one object. Turn off the Cody objects. In object mode, Shift A, add a circle with 32 vertices. Rotate on the X-axis by 90 degrees. Tab into edit mode. Scale down to about this big. In object mode, move it up to her neck. In edit mode, scale down on the Y-axis. Change fall off to sharp and turn on proportional editing with O. Pull this vertex down and adjust the fall off with your mouse wheel. In side view, extrude forward. Back in front view, scale the front loop on the X and Z axis individually. Select these upper 11 vertices and invert selection with Ctrl-I, hide with H. Scale on the X-axis with proportional editing to shape it like this. Unhide. Select and duplicate this inner circle. Move it forward a little past halfway. Disable proportional editing. Scale up by about 1.25 on the Z-axis and by 2.2ish on the X-axis. Fill in these faces with F. In object mode, line it up better with the coat frilly thing. Select these 12 vertices, invert and hide. Select the middle two on each side. Change the fall off to smooth. Scale down on the X-axis. Move these 7 vertices in a bit. Delete half. Add a mirror modifier. Select these 10 vertices and extrude them up slightly. Pull back on the Y-axis. Invert selection and hide. Turn back on proportional editing with smooth fall off and pull this vertex out on the X-axis. Now move these two forward on the Y-axis. It should look something like this. Shade smooth. Edge slide to even out this space. Flatten out this edge. Add that mirror modifier. Delete these 4 bottom vertices. And create an edge here. Edge slide. Alt select and hide the middle edge loop. Use sharp proportional editing to do some more shaping. Select these 4 vertices and extrude them out. Move these vertices up and over. Move this one to about here. Select, invert, and hide. Shape like so. Unhide. Create a face here. Subdivide by searching with F3. Move the new vertex here. Select all. In side view, rotate by -35 degrees. Alt select this edge loop and rotate using these settings. Position and pull around with proportional. Fill in this face. Extrude out a vertex, move it into position, and fill in faces. Keep doing that to build this shape. Match the reference with your new geometry. And there we go. Use snapping to snap this object to the inner and outer coat geometry. Some adjusting might be beneficial. Cut in some new lines with the knife tool or slide stuff, however you want to do it. Snap to edge whenever you're missing a vertice to snap to. We'll probably simplify them away at some point, but this will put them somewhere for the time being. Dissolve this old edge. Cut an edge loop here. Dissolve this edge. Select this new edge, invert, and hide. Use a smooth proportional fall off and add a slight curve forward on this edge. Unhide. This looks pretty good. Let's make the underside of this fluffy piece. In the outer coat object, select this loop, duplicate, and separate into its own object. Turn off the outer coat. Turn on the floof object and enable wireframe in its object properties. Enable snapping and turn off proportional editing. Extrude out vertices onto the other object and fill in faces. This is a little time consuming, so a faster way is extruding a vertex outline, fill in an entire face, and divide with J. Do the same here. Select all and shade smooth. Enable all the other objects, pop into render view and take a step back, and admire the radiance of your frilly coat color. I'm going to real quick add a light plane to see how she looks with lighting. And create a lighting material. I'm also going to make this object invisible to the camera. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave us a like or a comment to let us know what you think. And consider subscribing if you're not already. Stay safe. I love you all. Goodbye.